What's up, everybody? My name's Ian, and I am the owner of Diversity Consignment. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something that we've been getting into a little bit more, and I have a lot of history selling these things, and that is suit jackets, blazers, sport coats, some of the terminology that you will find or hear and what that means, and also some of the differences between them and things that you'll find and what those things mean. So I have sold hundreds, if not thousands, of suit jackets, blazers, and sport coats. So I feel like it's some knowledge that I've learned, and I would be more than happy to share that with you. And maybe it'll also help you in your sense of style and discovery, or if there's a certain event that you need to wear a certain type of suit jacket or blazer, etc. So let's dive on in. The first thing I'm going to talk about is understanding your measurements, because this is probably the most important thing when you're discovering your own style. And of course, these suit jackets, blazers, they all come with specific measurements. That could be sleeve length, that could be the size, which is the pit to pit chest measurement, and also the overall length of the coat itself. So understanding your measurements is vitally important in getting like a true fit. And if you don't know your measurements, you can pop on by to Diversity. Anyone on staff can help you find out what your measurements are, and then you can go home with that knowledge. So outside of the measurements, which I think is a must that you understand and figure out, one thing that you're going to notice that's different depending on whether it's a suit jacket, blazer, or sport coat is the lapels. So the lapels are this piece of fabric right here. This is called the lapel. And on this one, this piece of fabric. And now you'll notice that there's a little bit of difference in the shape of this part of the lapel. And the difference between these two is this one is considered a peak lapel. As you can see, it points up. And this one is considered a notch lapel. So it's like it has a little notch taken out of it. The other type of lapel that you're gonna see is a shawl lapel. Picture the notch lapel, only with its piece still in it. It's kind of like an oval shaped lapel. And okay, cool. What does that mean? So for a notch lapel, that's like the most informal style of lapel. You'll see these on a lot of business suits or sport. Most of the sport coats will have notch lapels. It's a stylistic choice at this point because people aren't really, unless you're like really, really, really into it, for just basic understanding, it's a formality difference, and that's why they're shaped differently. For more formal suits, you will see peak lapels, oftentimes with double-breasted suits, but sometimes with single-breasted, like with what I have on. I wore a peak lapel tuxedo jacket to my wedding, and I thought it was cool. The shawl lapel, the oval lapel, is traditionally considered the most formal. So that's like for black tie events. You wear a shawl lapel. Sometimes you see kids wearing them to prom nowadays. I think now, if you're just looking for something for an event, it's really more of a stylistic choice. So pick what you like. The next thing that you'll see that is different is cuffs. So what I'm wearing is called a surgeon cuff. Some people will just refer to it as working buttons, but there's a higher degree of craftsmanship that goes into creating a sleeve that has working buttons or surgeon cuffs. I think historically surgeons were, everyone was wearing suits to work, And so for surgeons, they needed to roll up their sleeve, and it was a lot easier with working buttons that they could do that, hence why they're called surgeon cuffs. For others, and with less labor intensive construction, you just have kind of ornamental buttons. So buttons just on the side, but they're non-functioning. With surgeon cuffs, the main difference you're going to find is that when it comes to suits in the $1,000+ range, they'll usually just add this detail into it. If you're getting bespoke suits made to your body, oftentimes they'll just ask you which one you prefer, and it might be a little bit more pricey to get surgeon cuffs. But if you're out and about thrifting or going to a consignment shop, you'll know that this is a custom suit, custom made, so it's probably bespoke. That if you find one that has working surgeon's cuffs, it probably was a very well-made, expensive suit or sport coat. So aside from the cuffs, you have the overall construction. The overall construction meaning essentially the layers that are formed with the suit jacket. And they come lined or unlined. With unlined, you don't see this inner fabric right here. It's just bare bones. And what I've heard is that when you have an unlined suit jacket, sometimes it's linen, sometimes it's cotton, but either way, if it's a well-constructed, suit, sport coat, it's a way that the constructor or the tailor can show off how well they constructed their garment. Sometimes there'll be a half lining where it's just a lining up at the top end, and then it's bare throughout the rest and the bottom. And I think it's just kind of a little subtle brag for some tailors to say, like, look at how this is manufactured. I made this so nicely that I can show you all of the details and I don't even need to hide them. Otherwise, it's just, again, a stylistic choice, and you'll see it more often with linen sport coats and suits too. So unlined, lined, and there's also what's called a canvas, which is between the inside fabric here. This is two pieces of fabric, one on the outside, one on the inside. And a canvas is a third layer that exists between those two. So they have what is called a half canvas, which is just the upper half portion, and they have a full canvas, which is the entire length of the garment. And what that does is it over time will conform to your body, creates an extra layer. Sometimes it'll be flannel for colder month sport coats to be able to protect you from the elements a little bit. But in general, you will see a half canvas. That's the most common because it's more affordable, and it's fused. So there's a fused canvas and then there's a floating canvas. The fused canvas is in mass manufactured suit jackets, sport coats, and it's just a way to cut down on costs. A full canvas would take extra work from a tailor to create that, or an atelier. So it'll be more expensive, much more expensive. A good example is Brooks Brothers has different lines, and their Brooks Brothers line or Brooks Ease line that you'll find, or even the 1818 line, will have a half fused canvas, and their Golden Fleece, that's their highest end line, will have a full floating canvas. The way you can check that is you can take these two pieces here with just these two fingers and kind of pinch like this. And if you feel a floating layer, then you know it's a full canvas. And if you don't, like this one doesn't, then it's probably a half canvas and it's probably fused. Fused means like glued to the outside. Being in the secondhand world, you'll see a lot of bubbling happening on suit jackets. Oftentimes what that is the fused canvas glue is kind of coming apart in some areas. There's not much that can be done about that. Sometimes when you're steaming or ironing incorrectly, mostly steaming, I think it loosens up that glue, and it's just not good to to steam a suit jacket that has a fused canvas. You can absolutely steam a full canvas suit jacket. It's not going to do anything to hurt it. Yeah, so the golden fleece line of Brooks Brothers, you're talking in the $1,200+ range, upwards of 2,500. Like a 1818 Brooks Brothers fused canvas, 800, 695 to $800. So there's a markedly different difference in price between having a full canvas and having a half canvas. Full canvas is what people would consider the best option that you could get. Again, also, if you're getting like a summer suit, you don't want like a full canvas because it's just going to be heavier and it's going to be warmer and hotter. So opt in for more of like a linen or even a silk, and that would suit you better. So it kind of depends on the event that you're going to. But just for the sake of argument, when you're in a consignment shop and you're looking for something that's really high quality, you do the pinch test right here, and you'll be able to understand, okay, what I'm looking at is something that is very high quality. It probably cost upwards of $1,200 new, and here it's whatever. So this is a really good deal. That's the construction. Now, another aspect of a sport coat is the vents, and the vents are the part in the back. So we can take a look at this one and see that it has no vents. No vents. Some people like double vents, which is just the two slits on both ends. Some people like single vents, which is just a single slice in the middle, having these kind of flowy and open up. And oftentimes you don't see a lot of people liking no vent. It's a choice. It's a stylistic choice, but there are roots to why these vents exist and what these vents mean or lack of vents. So traditionally, no vents, like this one, is an Italian style. Single vents are an American style, and double vents are a British style. Where did vents come from? Is it for extra breathability? Well, originally, vents were invented by the British, and they created this double vent. Why? So they could ride on horseback, because suits have their roots in military uniform. So a lot of these British soldiers would be riding on horses, and they needed to be able to kind of sit down and be comfortable. So they created a double vent. Today, again, people just choose it based off of what they like. And, so there's nothing that's worse or better about it. It's just, how does it look? How does it feel? For me personally, I think I would go no vent or single vent on something that's like a sport coat, which is more casual, and maybe a double vent on something that's like a suit jacket if I'm wearing it with a full suit. I just think it looks really nice. But again, that's preference. And one of the final things is the materials, what it's made out of. So, when you're out here in the wild, you'll see a lot of different words written in the inside of suit jackets. One of them is super 120s, super 140s, super 160s, super 180s, or even super 200s. And that can be like, oh, this is a super jacket. But that's not exactly what that means. What that actually means is the fiber count, the thread count within the wool. So the higher the number, the more fine and the more fine the material, the more fine the wool is. So rarely, other than like some Keton, maybe Brioni, will you see a super 180s, super 200s. Not, and you're talking a $5,000 to $10,000 suit that would be constructed like that. More often, you'll see Super 120s. It still means really finely woven, a lot of thread count. It's the exact same idea as sheets, and so your bed sheets. The higher the thread count, the softer it is. It's kind of the same thing for suit jackets. They just call it Super 120s, Super 140s, Super 150s. Um, I don't know the exact parts per, but I know that that is what that means. So wool is the most common suit material, and wool does not just mean winter, fall, because they have these very fine wools like the Super 120s and up, which can even be worn in the summertime. It's very breathable. Also, if it's doesn't have the full, construction, and it's just unlined, that's again going to be more breathable. So wool can be three-season wool, meaning spring, summer, and fall, or it can be a heavier wool like a tweed, which would be great fall, winter, um, spring maybe. So linen obviously is a very nice material, breathable, great for spring, summer. And if it's made out of rayon or polyester, don't buy it because it's junk, actually. There's been a long history of suit making, and they always used, natural fibers to make the suits. So if you're seeing something that, unless you're in a pinch, if you're in a pinch and you need something and the wedding is tomorrow, then go get whatever's available. But oftentimes you're going to be going to a big box retailer and they're going to have rayon and polyester suits. They're shiny, they are loud, you could probably wash them in the washing machine, so that's a plus. But they're terribly made. And if personally, if you're going to make an investment into something and you're planning ahead, I would suggest buying something of as high quality as you can get, because it'll last you, 50 years, 20 years minimum. Suit styles have not changed very much in the past 200 years. Sometimes it's more recently, it's been more of a slim fit, but you can never go wrong with just a regular fit, understanding your proportions and what looks best on you. And as your body changes, making those types of adjustments. Having a tailor, which we have here, tailoring services, is one of the most valuable things you can have, because obviously, we get into our winter weight and then we're hitting the gym for summer and our body is fluctuating a little bit. So having somebody that can take in fabric, let out fabric is invaluable. And knowing your measurements is also invaluable. There are some other variables when it comes to suit jackets, blazers, and sport coats. Smoking jackets and tweeds are two, just to name a couple. Tweeds are a very heavy, like Irish wool or British wool. And smoking jackets are what you see, the coolest guy smoking a cigar in a cigar lounge wearing, white with some black, or blue with some black trim. Those are considered smoking jackets. That's like, what's his name? Hugh Hefner. So anyway, I guess on a final note, the differences in formality between suit jackets, blazers, and sport coats. A suit jacket was manufactured to be a suit, so it has the same material as a top and a bottom. You can mix and match these. No one's gonna tell you fucking can't. A blazer is either a solid color with contrasting buttons, okay, like traditionally you'll see a navy blue with gold buttons, or striped. These are like the collegiate ones, or like the rowing blazers, big, loud stripes. You'll see those in clubs, and they'll have some embroidery on them or something like that. Those are blazers, okay? Nothing else is blazers. Those are the ones that are blazers. Sport coats are more casual. They have more pattern options, and generally speaking, they pair well with more bottom options. And so those are the differences between those terms. I know everything gets blanketed into the term blazer, but that, traditionally speaking, that's just not how it was intended to be. So, hope you found some value in this. If you need any help picking something out, if you're building up your style, come on down to Diversity. Everyone here can help you. We have personal stylists that are eager to help people pick out some pieces and navigate the store. So, anyway, I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.